Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Sir Meerkat, and welcome back to the Moto Meerkat channel. So today, I'm actually going to be nicking an idea off my good mate, TOMMO F1. Don't worry, I've asked him, and he's clarified that I'm all good to take it, but if you'd like to compare my answers with his, click the link down below, or the annotation above, somewhere to watch the video, obviously after this one though. I'm going to be using his tier list template to rank all of the tracks on the provisional 2020 calendar. Now obviously we all know now that these tracks aren't going to be the actual calendar and it's all messed up because of COVID, but each track I think still deserves its place on this list and deserves to be ranked. I will also leave the link to Tommo's little tier list template so that you guys can make your own. Make sure to tweet me and go for it, why not? Tweet Tommo your choices and let me know down in the comments what you think about my choices. So I shall be placing each track in one of 5 categories. So you can either go in epic, great, decent, meh, rubbish, or horrific. So we'll go through them in alphabetical order, and without further ado, let's start ranking. So we begin with Abu Dhabi. Now I've popped this one in the meh category. So I think this track is a fantastic spectacle to have as the last race, but it doesn't produce amazing racing all of the time. So although Brazil I think would be a better race as the final race, because it produces better racing, as a lot of people want to happen, these days the championship barely ever makes it to the last race anyway to be decided. It's decided like the 3rd or 4th last race, because Mercedes obviously and Hamilton just run away with it. So what's the point in having such a fantastic race as the finale when like it doesn't actually mean anything? I prefer it to actually mean something and be earlier on in the championship. So I think Abu Dhabi is fantastic as the final race. I've been to Ferrari World, that's in Yas Marina, where the track is, and the area is stunning. It's so beautiful, just the whole track and its layout is just fantastic, and I really like it, but the racing isn't great, so it goes in meh. In Australia, another one added to the meh category. To a lot of us, it's sort of ingrained as the opener to the season now. It's just there, like, we couldn't change it as the opener. Australia is just the one to go to. I do like it as a venue. I think it's cool being in the park, surrounding the lake and whatnot, but it just creates borefest, doesn't it, nowadays? We got older memories of like Ralf Schumacher flipping sending it over the top of Barrichello, I think it was. That would have, it's going to test my knowledge now. I want to say 2002, but that could be wrong. But nowadays, like realistically, what interesting thing has happened? Like Bottas crashing like a couple of years ago, that was relatively interesting, but apart from that, meh. Then we got Austria, the Red Bull Ring. Now I'll start that in decent, just above meh. It has had some good racing in recent years. So as you remember from last year, Max and Charles having a really, really good battle. Max maybe squeezing Charles out a little bit, but we'll leave that up to interpretation. It's crazy to think that that was only a year ago though. Jesus, I miss racing so much. Now I think the track is a little bit short. If they added a few extra sections, it could maybe bump up the list. And also I don't like the whole Red Bull ownership. I don't like the fact that they own a team and a track. Rubs me the wrong way a bit. And in previous years, it has had some really, really good energy and atmosphere with all of the Verstappen fans coming out in full. But now that we have Zandvoort on the category, is the whole vibe of the circuit going to be the same? Is it going to be as mental? We'll have to wait and see. Now Azerbaijan is in the decent category. So a couple of years ago, I reckon I would have put it a step higher in the great category, because obviously, well done Baku. However, the last couple of races haven't been incredible. Obviously we've had the Danny Rick and Verstappen incident, which we'll not speak more of. Who you think is in the wrong, let me know. I'll stick a little poll up in the corner. Let me know who you think was in the wrong. And I do love the layout of the circuit. It's a nice little twisty castle section where Charles is stupid, but also mixed in with some really nice long straights. And that straight down the start finish straight is amazing. I love watching the DRS there and then all jostling position at super crazy speed. I think it is great, but another good solid race at the track I think could bump it up a category, but for now it's indecent. Now Bahrain, I also think is indecent. I think this could be a little bit controversial. I know some people don't really like Bahrain, but I really like the layout and I love it's situated in the middle of the desert. This is one of my favourite tracks to drive in games. I think that's mainly due to F1 2006, the Championship Edition game. What a belter of a game. So awesome. I remember I did so many career championships, starting off at the bottom and working my way up, but then I'd only do a few races, so I always did Bahrain and I always really loved that. So maybe I'm a bit biased. And although the racing can be meh a lot of the time, it has produced some cracking moments, such as Maldonado's shunt with Esteban Gutierrez in 2014, I think that was, which was wild. I don't know what Maldonado was thinking there was not the move on, but it has been some decent racing, but yeah, we'll just stick it there. Now we move on to Spa-Francorchamps, straight in epic, obviously. Raidillon and Eau Rouge. Enough said. There we go, that's it. That's all my reasoning. Well, it should be all my reasoning that I need to. The track layout is simply wonderful. So incredible. Another track I've actually been to myself, and it's just great. The venue, the racing there, the atmosphere, and of course, the crashes. How can we forget the crashes? Obviously, we won't speak of Antoine Hubert. It's very sad. But other crashes, such as the first lap in 2012, the huge pile-up caused by Romain Grosjean. Obviously, it's caused by him. But yeah, just a fantastic circuit in the epic category, 100%. And we got another one going into epic category. We have Brazil. As I said earlier, many people would like Brazil to be the season finale because it does produce some brilliant racing, such as Vettel's comeback in 2012 to take the title, which was amazing. And obviously, is that Glock? The Brazilian fans are incredible. I love them to bits. I think they're brilliant. And I reckon it's definitely up there on my list of Grand Prix that I want to visit myself. Then we move on to my home track. Quite funny enough that Britain is in the Great category, Great Britain. Seems only fitting, but obviously being my home circuit, I've been to it a few times. I've not yet driven it myself, but definitely that should come in the near future. Hopefully I'll stick a few GoPros on, I can take you guys for a ride. But it has produced some good racing recently. It seems to be having a bit of resurgence on that front. I think that they did a massive positive, adding in the whole new section when they did 2012, the revamp. Modernising the circuit with a new layout and getting that new wing in just makes it look really nice and modern, and I think it's done wonders. If you'd like to know more about the history of Silverstone itself, make sure you click the card above or the link down below to watch my video on the history of the British Grand Prix. Canada 2011. That's all I need to say for this one. Canada is banging. Not quite in the epic category because we haven't seen a Grand Prix as good as Canada 2011. I'm not sure we will for a while, to be honest, but the track layout is brilliant, with the famous Wall of Champions claiming many victims over the years. And how can we forget Kubica's mental crash in 2007? The amount of force he hit that wall was crazy. But yeah, up in the great category for Canada. I've stuck China in rubbish. Not quite horrific, but I don't rate it. I would much rather it be replaced by Sepang in Malaysia, because at least they have monsoons and they make it pretty interesting. But the only really memorable moment recently from China is Albon's bad crash in FP3 last year. The racing track is just a bit trash. I'm sorry, it's just not that good. It's just a bit boring. Like, it's just dull. France, straight in horrific. I hate France. It's a glorified test track with some silly lines painted on it, let's be honest. The racing sucks, it's not fun to drive. If they took away the runoffs, replace them with barriers, gravel traps, maybe even a bit of grass, possibly I can move it up to rubbish. But until then, I want it off the calendar, replace it with Magny-Core, please. Hungary has always been a little bit meh. It doesn't produce amazing racing. Now, last year, the race looked like it could be very interesting. So we saw Hamilton chasing down Verstappen, but it turned out it was actually pretty easy for Lewis to pass him, and eventually finished 17 seconds ahead of Verstappen. So it was a little bit boring by the time we got to the checkered flag. And I think I do rate the track a bit more than others. So I think it only deserves a meh, and I think it could produce good racing. I think I'm going to hold out for it, so that's why it goes in meh. Italy, straight up to great. I think the atmosphere of the Tifosi really, really makes the track just fantastic. Seeing all the red flags flying is just brilliant. And that podium is like none other. Seeing everyone on the track, like cheering for Ferrari and for everyone is just brilliant. But the fast layout, it's not quite technical enough for my liking, but it does produce good racing, so it's definitely up there. Japan, another one going in the great category. I'd definitely say it's one of the best track layouts on the calendar. The S section after the first corner, the drivers are so on edge, it's awesome. And also, 130R just is wow. There's so many incredible memories from Japan. The obvious one being Senna and Prost colliding in both 1989 and 1990. There's some crazy moments. But recently the racing hasn't been so incredible. That's why I don't think it's quite up in epic, but it definitely could be. Another one, bit meh, is Mexico. The only memorable thing about Mexico is their new podium, really. How they brought Hamilton's car up last year, up to the podium, was so cool that he could sort of celebrate it with the machinery as well he was using. And I also really like the stadium section of it. I think the old baseball stadium being turned into part of the track looks so cool with them going through the actual grandstand. It's just sick. But otherwise, it's just a bit forgettable, isn't it? Now, I think this is probably my most controversial one. Monaco is rubbish. I'm sorry, it's rubbish. I think the history and the spectacle of the track is so cool. Like the whole setting of the weekend with the glitz and the glamour is really, really cool. And it's been unchanged for years. So I think it needs a little bit of a revamp. But, oh my god, when are people going to wake up? It's so boring. Every year, the race is so dull. When has anyone ever gone, wow, it's the Monaco weekend this weekend, yes, it's gonna be so good. No one's ever done that. All you do is get excited for the quali on Saturday. That's always quite decent. Seeing the guys right up on the edge with all the walls is cool. But then once that's done, the race is, it's just whoever's on pole has basically won it. And the fact that Ricciardo can have an engine failure in 2018 and still win the race just shows how stupidly difficult it is to pass and why it's no longer fun at that track. I'm sorry, it's in the rubbish category. Then the first new track on the calendar, we got the Netherlands, obviously Zandvoort. Not much to go off, really. We have had lots of history at the track, so it is well known and has produced some decent racing, but we've got to wait and see how it's going to do with the modern cars. So the track layout doesn't seem like it's going to work for good racing, but we'll have to wait and see. And the banking is really cool. So I think that steps it up a little bit in the list. It might have been in meh if that banking wasn't there, but we'll pop it in decent because the photos are gonna look sweet. Russia, another one, down in horrific. Although it did create the famous torpedo, Mr. Danny Kvyat in 2016. I always have fun watching Metal get pissed off. But racing at Sochi just sucks, man. It's so bad. The track layout's horrible, the racing is boring, get it off the calendar. Now another track I've been to myself is Singapore, the Marina Bay Street Circuit. The spectacle is incredible. Now I went as they were setting up for the race at the end of last year. Wow, it was really, really cool. And under the lights in the middle of the night in a baking hot city, what more can you ask for? The racing has been getting better recently as well. Like that last lap battle last year for 11th was mad. 4 of them just going at it. And the track's obviously had controversy in the past, obviously being Crashgate 2008, everyone remembers that. But I do miss the Singapore sling. That chicane was wicked. I want to see drivers sending it over the top of that into the wall. It was awesome. So bring it back, please. Then we got Spain, the test track for the calendar. It's really good as a test track. It's got all different types of corners and allows them to mess with the cars and get a little bit better, but actually as racing, it doesn't translate amazingly. It's alright, it could be better, it could be worse. Now I love having a race in the US. Americans, although they can be annoying, apologies Cranky Yankee, but they are pretty jokes. Do I think that there are better tracks in the US to host a Grand Prix? 100%. But I do think the layout is decent at COTA and the tower is really cool. Also, the cars seem to be a lot louder at COTA. Just seems to be a lot more meow. And then on to the final track to add to the list, we have Vietnam, Hanoi. The second of the tracks which we don't know anything about. It's a completely new track to the calendar. Vietnam's never been on it, and we really don't have anything to go off. The layout looks like it could be decent with a mix of very long straights and some tight and twisty corners, but only time will tell if it's actually going to be decent. So I've just stuck it in mid-table. We'll see how it does. But let's hope we can get back to racing soon and we can put Hanoi through its paces. Well, on screen now is my full ranking of every track on the 2020 calendar. Do you agree with my rankings? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's be honest, you're gonna have a problem with at least one of them, so drop it in the comments and let's get chatting. But thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like on it down below and press that subscribe button, because I swear like 80% of you aren't subscribed, which is mad. And I make motorsport content every Tuesday and every Friday, so why are you not subscribed already? But yeah, as I said, thank you so much for watching. All of you meerkats, massive legends, big love to you all. I'll see you all later. Bye guys.